So to answer a question I got publicly in a video, I'm going to also talk about some other concepts as well today related to it. But to answer the question that I got from a photographer, from an artist who said, hey, I'm thinking about SKN, but I shoot a lot of tattooed subjects. That's just what they happen to shoot. And they said, how would SKN work when it came to tattoos? And that's a great question. And of course, one of my greatest friends and collaborators, Lindsay, is amazing with her tattoo work. And SKN, when I first started shooting her, I'd shot many, many tattooed models over the years, but SKN had come out and we finished it. We were proud of it. And I thought, hey, we need to test this on heavily tattooed subjects, and Lindsay was perfect for that. And what we got excited about was that we did some testing with tattooed subjects while we were making SKN, of course, but we were really blown away at how well it handles, and yeah, if I'm sounding surprised that our own panel, like shocked us because we were impressed by it, it's true, we were. I'm going to show you that because it has to do with masking, right? So here's Lindsay in White Sands. This is unedited. Let's say we want to do some skin control, some manipulation. All right. So as a reminder, if you right click the bottom left little circle selection thing on the SKN panel, that's going to give you some options in terms of how liberal you want SKN to select skin tone. Right now, these are very, very close to one another. It's not like very tight is that different from very loose, but they're there to give you options, right? So I'm going to go ahead and leave it on average right now. We're going to get back to the subject selection toggle in a minute for a reason. We'll talk about that in a second. So I'm going to choose cleanup. We're not going to choose any presets, and we're going to hit play. Now, oftentimes I will fast forward when I run SKN, when I have another point in mind. But in this case, I want to show you that it's doing a full process, right? It's setting up all the layers in question. It can take, 5 seconds on some computers when you're not recording a video like I am. And it can take, 30 seconds, upwards of 45 seconds on some older machines or extremely high res images, right? But still, once it's done, that's what's great about it. Now, it's already finished. All right. So if I were to toggle off and on, there is some skin cleanup, smoothing already happening. But the first thing I want to talk about is if I go to the bottom left of the advanced cleanup tab here, if I go to that little eyeball button on the bottom, look at the mask. Okay, you see that? That is the hallmark, the beauty of SKN. It can mask out the tattoos cleaner than anything Photoshop could do on its own. It has to do with feeding Photoshop's brain, if you will, chroma data by extracting the luminosity data or the luma. And then it can see perfectly through that. Now you might think, well, fantastic. That's amazing. That's exactly what I need for a tattooed subject. Okay. Yes, that's true. But here is, let me go ahead and turn the view back on, turn off the mask. Yes, sometimes you want to have everything selected that isn't tattoo, right? So if I were to, add secondary smoothing, you'll see that the tattoos remain crisp and clear, right? If I were to add luma compression, okay, the tattoos still remain. Let me zoom out just a bit. Off and on, we're still getting a beautiful smoothing effect, okay? If I were to add more texture recovery, it does work, as you can see, but the tattoos are minimally affected, okay, etc., etc. If I were to darken a little bit, okay, you see the tattoos lighten a little bit. Again, the tattoos are not affected. These functions, right, are really useful depending on what you're trying to do. But where my advice really comes in that I'm going to be really, really strong about is, well, when do you want to mask out the tattoos and when do you want to include them? And the answer is, how radical of a change are you planning on making? All right, because tattoos, remove the idea in your head that they're pieces of art on skin. They're just different, like luminosity levels and different hue, levels, if you will, all over the skin. So if you're going to make a radical change, like really deep in the skin, you probably want the tattoos involved. If you're going to create a smoothing feel and you don't want the tattoos involved, that's a different story, right? It has to do with how significant, how much of a major change you want to make to the skin. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Let's go back to the main window and go back to right-clicking our selection. Sometimes you want to go to subject only, right? Let's go ahead and run that. And this is in case you think I want to make some significant changes, To be honest, I'm running it on cleanup right now. Most of the time when I'm going to make heavy changes, I will probably do that on tone, right? The tone tab, which I'll show you in a second. But we're going to go ahead and get our mask in order. When you do subject selection only, naturally, you're getting everything, the hair, the sunglasses, all the tattoos, you know, her outfit, everything, as you can see, right? So right now it's providing cleanup to everything. All right. Now let's go ahead. I probably should have just showed you on tone, and that's all right. We'll go to tone. We still have the option of subject only. All right. No presets. We're going to hit play. Let that run. Tone generally is a little bit faster, even while I'm recording video. Setting up all these layers in advance is how we tailored SKN to allow it to work so beautifully on the layers window. Instead of opening up a third-party window, you have to make all your decisions and then hit OK, and then you're committed. No, we have flexibility here. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I deepen it, okay, you see all the skin darkens or lightens, but so do the tattoos, right? That's kind of important. In fact, I can prove that to you by, let me just kind of reset everything here. We're going to get rid of that mask, turn this off, and we're going to come back and use our skin tone selection function by just tapping the little circle by itself. No right click. Let SKN do the skin tone selection now with just skin tone, not subject. There you have it. And now we're going to apply that to the mask. Okay, so there it is. As you can see, that's the mask. So where do potential problems happen? Well, again, if you darken, the tattoos don't come with it. If you brighten, the tattoos don't come with it. If you brighten a lot, it could start to become a problem. Doesn't look necessarily bad there, but if you darken a lot and you're thinking about desaturation and different highlight intensities, things are going to start looking a little funny without the tattoos involved. Now, this is something that you have to experiment with. All right. It's not something that's an absolute easy, obvious thing. Oh, if you have tattoos, do this. If you don't have tattoos, do that. It's not that simple. But the power that SKN has to select in between tattoos and see through shadows to get perfect skin tone selections or near perfect skin tone selection is the key here. You don't have to do anything special. SKN just does it. Also, don't forget, SKN, like we've been saying lately, also has that selection function down here that we just showed you. So if you were to tap it, just keep in mind, once you have the skin tone selection running, as it were, you see the selection here running in 1 second. There you go. You can do anything with it. Any of these adjustment layers, anything that you can mask, you can do it here. So let's say, for example, you were to go, I'm not sure, let's just go to levels. Does not matter. We have a mask now of the skin and we can do it manually. So it's not just good for SKN's functions. It's just powerful skin tone masking for lots of things. Don't forget that even with heavily tattooed subjects like Lindsay, SKN is like, we're so proud of it. Like I said, we ourselves were impressed at how well it did after we developed it.